Reva is cold as ice, Andy actually has a heart, and Lauren is just all around pissed off with everything going on around her, as she was last episode. We're breaking down all of that, as well as John rekindling his own detox interest back in the day with Evangeline, the Lizard of Oz. Stay tuned!
You're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
That's right, we're here at the WWE Gifted After Show here at AfterBuzz TV. The Shield theme, because John's a badass, and he gets bats and sweaty men guys fighting him. Just like the sweaty men guys around me, Steph Sabraw, hosting tonight.
What's up, you guys? I'm ready to get sweaty.
And our two...
No, I'm gonna need that intro. Don't slow down the intro for us.
And the rough, the tough, the robed, and the groved. I don't know what to rhyme with robe. Tehran Von Ghasri. He's a comedian, and he'll take us off subject. Hell yeah!
That's what I do best.
And for one of her first after shows of all time, the lady in red herself. Heather Wake.
That's right. Proud Hellfire member since 1988, folks.
Strong.
She got out just before Reeva killed everybody. We are talking about Unmoored, episode 2 of season 2 of The Gifted here at AfterBuzz TV. As always, this is our after show. Hit subscribe, like, and share with your friends. Follow us on all social media at AfterBuzz TV. We have a lot to talk about. We're going to break it down pretty easy tonight. We got Andy. We got Lauren. I'm going to say a few more names. We got John. We got Marcos. We got Reed. We got Baby Troubles. Everybody's got Baby Troubles.
Reva, how did you not say she's my favorite?
Because Reeva is so tied up in Andy's storyline. She actually hasn't had her own storyline except for the very first scene of episode 1. And that's just her being, like... Honestly, the episode Reeva gets her own storyline, we're opening up with Cold Hard Bitch by Jet. That's the song. That's her,
gonna be the
that's
Reva
her song.
Is so much more than that, but that's okay.
She's more than that.
Well, no, you'll find out.
But she is a cold hard bitch.
I love her.
She's great. Didn't like her last episode. Before we get into that, I want to know what your overall thoughts on the episode were first. Heather, you go ahead. We haven't heard from you yet.
Hey guys, I thought overall it was a pretty low episode, but it really accurately portrayed where everybody was in their own storyline. The whole theme of this episode was hopelessness, and you get to see the aftermath of everything going wrong for the underground, and hopefully they have nowhere to go but up after this. I thought it was really it was low energy, not as much action-packed stuff except for maybe the beginning and the end, but it was really accurately toned so that we can really feel for everybody.
We had emotional action, okay? There was a sledgehammer flying at John's head.
Yes.
That's not action. I'd love to dive into the conversation of hope versus hopelessness. We'll save that for a little bit later. Tehran, what were your overall thoughts?
I felt that the overall tone was despair, and as an unaction-filled episode, it was full of setup. So now we're looking at the chess pieces move accurately across the board, setting up a lot of storyline for later. I see a lot of things that will be unfolding from this. We see things that happen with the baby setup. We see things happening with John setup. It's just very interesting, and I can't wait to see how it unfolds. And of course, the love of my life, Reva. I love you.
They actually are getting married next week. Congratulations.
Who's the groom, I wonder?
You've been breaking my heart the entire time.
Breaking your balls. Steph Sabraw, what did you think of the episode?
I agree with a lot of what you said. I thought it was better than last episode, and we're getting a lot more setup for the rest of the season, so it makes me excited for the rest of the season.
I do want to add one tidbit is I was expecting, and we heard a little bit about Erg at the end, but I'm expecting a lot more of this Morlock action that we're promised, considering Erg is one of the Morlocks. It was very cool to use him as a person to tie it in, but I was expecting to see him, and we didn't.
Well, we will see him later.
You
Hopefully.
expected like a teaser at the end of it.
A teaser. This is
episode
called
2.
Unmoored. Yeah, but the episode was called Unmoored, and I was personally, before going into it, I thought Morlock setup 100%. They added Erg. He's in the tunnels, and we're up more Morlock, and then nothing.
I think it was unmoored as more in line of the villains have unmoored from the docks, from the shores. They're full steam ahead. Their boat has unmoored. That's kind of how I took it, because this episode, yeah, definitely. Let's go into hope versus hopelessness for a short minute here. It feels like the villains have won in this instance. Like the villains have the power play to put it in there.
Your villain, my hero. It just depends on the perception.
Correct. I argue the opposite for this episode, though, because this is the first episode where we see cracks on the villain side.
I was about to say that,
as much as it is the hopelessness of Evangeline, who says that I didn't know I'd be setting you up for something that's already lost, and the hopelessness of Kate and Reed and all these characters who are feeling down, there is Esme, who has a morality to her, which with her mind she may be able to spread that to the other Cuckoo sisters. There is Andy, who's thinking more about his sister and unable to use his powers because of his sister, and her telling him to use it to fight is only going to make it harder when he goes up against her later. And then you also have Sage in the background, who doesn't know anything about Reva being evil. They just kind of went with it. And now you have Lorna, who's also keenly aware of how evil Reva is, which is interesting because we haven't quite seen Lorna catch her in an act. But the scene between Andy and Lorna, where Lorna's like, if she knows you're not 100% at all, like, you can't be. It's like, Reva inspires fear and no loyalty, so I don't know how she's necessarily going to keep her power this entire season. I feel like all it would take is one Esme plus Lorna to kill her in a heartbeat. Just disable her powers, and then she can't do anything.
I find she does inspire loyalty with people who are passionate about her cause, but it's fear about others who may have some type of trouble justifying it for themselves, just even if it's 1%. And that happens a lot. And a lot of cells we see are extremists. And clearly Reva is an extremist. This is an extremist form. Her ideology isn't villainous. It's, I want to create a mutant world where mutants are safe. She just also wants to be in charge of that mutant world.
Well, most of the villains in this world, and most of the villains just within the X-Men universe, are always sort of fueled by extreme pain and extreme passion for the cause. And I think Reva sort of fills that where I thought Lorna was going to go, but obviously she's not going to be the leader of this. I thought by this time Lorna was going to get more into that mindset, but even she's proving to not be as united in that vision. More having second thoughts.
I think Lorna, though, it's proven now that she's there because just of the baby. And she said that last season, but it really came into fruition that she's really not as down for the cause as them. It's just about the safety of her baby.
Yeah, it's difficult because what seems to me is that Reva is completely ignoring the human side of what mutants are. And it's going to be difficult for her cause to grow to anything larger than just extremists, which maybe 1 in 10 mutants is an extremist, maybe. Everyone else is like, I want safety and I want to get revenge. There's always a cause behind it. Not many of the mutants are like, I hate humans, let's make a mutant thing and kill all humans. They're not like robots in Futurama. So I think that's going to be where the cracks start to form, is because she's not surrounded by people who are as extreme as her. She's already killed out the entire inner circle, which inspires fear, but it completely takes away all sense of loyalty from anyone. Anyone who learns of that is going to be like, wait a second.
Sure, of
Think
course.
of my best interests here before I make any decision. Do I really want to be partnered with this person?
Sure.
But what I think is powerful is she is just like the Magneto, where it's not, I was a human, now I'm a mutant. It's, I'm a mutant through and through. I'm going to go with that. So depending on how long she lasts, I think it would be interesting to split her group up again. Like, I'd love to see the Cuckoos split. I want Esme on the good guy side. I want Lorna and them forming their own thing. And I think she's got to be the Magneto figure that has maybe 2 to 3 hardcore extremist mutants. And I hope we go to that point, because I'd really be upset if we build Reva up as this huge villain and then get rid of her at the end of the season. But there is the wild card in play that I didn't put on the notes, but we got to talk about Jace. And in predictions, let's definitely talk about how Jace can play into this role, because he's the perfect anti-extremist mutant. And I think it's really cool because of what happened last season. He kind of understood the other side on some level.
He did. He showed at least the propensity to be able to do so.
Exactly.
To understand, even if you don't condone, to at least understand.
So I think he's going to be like a huge key player in this, and think he's phenomenal in the role. So I'm really excited. So let's dive into Andy. First of all, where do you guys think he's going on his journey? And what did you think of how they portrayed it with the walls?
I mean, it was definitely clear he was distracted by being separated from Lauren, for sure. I hope that by the next episode that they reunite somehow. I think it would be... I was wondering, too, if they would somehow find a way to telepathically combine their powers. I was wondering if that was going to be something we would
I was interested in, are they both having a similar dream?
Yes.
Yeah.
So when that's being put to the forefront, I was interested in their connection, which is obviously stronger than has been portrayed. Clearly, we all knew that they've had a strong connection. However, it was something of a physical connection or a presence connection, not one that is now transcended into the realm of a mental connection in that aspect. And I thought that his power impotence became something of an abstraction from his role in the inner circle. And it's going to play a part. They have this master plan. It's about to play out, whatever this master plan is, waiting for it to happen. Love it.
But he obviously doesn't, I don't think, has a real scope on what the plan is.
Of course not.
You know, being...
Because it's going to be extreme evil, whatever it is.
Yeah, they're not going to
Exactly.
tell him.
I think subconsciously he's picking up on that as well. And that's what's creating his lack of abilities.
I want you to look at the differences between the dreams, though, because when you look at it from Lauren's side, she's terrified of Andy wanting to use his powers and wanting to use her together.
Yes.
And Andy is terrified of hurting Lauren. So it's kind of interesting that the characters do have each other's well-being at stake in some way, but she's terrified of him and he's terrified of hurting her. So I think that's really going to be a big plot point in the season. Plus, the whole metaphor of him having to break down the emotional walls, like that's,
Oh, yeah,
it was
exactly.
really, really on the
fair.
nose.
That's what I meant. Like, it was clear.
Yeah. But I think with their powers, I think it's a symbiotic relationship that as soon as they connected that one time, it's activated other things within them. Like maybe if you really think about it, maybe all of their powers hadn't even been activated before they unlocked them with that. And now it's unlocking more potential within them, and they're
potential
getting
powers.
yeah. So we don't even understand. They have Andy's power, Lauren's power, but now there's two brand new versions of their powers that were unlocked by each other. That includes an ESP factor, possibly. What do you think, Steph?
I think it is, because last week we left unconfirmed whether or not they were just both, whether she was just dreaming, and now we see Andy's side, and I think her falling and then waking up made it seem like it might be more real than we think. I think it is. I think things could happen. They could do things in their dreams.
And I do love their relationship, Lauren and Andy. I mean, you don't really get to see a lot of like sibling duos like that, especially brother sister, where the brother and sister have a really positive bond. And I think it's really sad too that Andy is trying to find like the substitute sister in Lorna, and it's just not working.
And now Reva's trying to get him to use his sister to power him up, which scares me more.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Love Reva.
Oh my god.
Hashtag
Love
Team
her.
Reva.
love
It'll
her.
be interesting to see how Reva interacts if she has a chance to take Lauren.
Yeah.
That'll be cool. I just want the writers to they're doing a pretty good job of towing that line between like brother sister dialogue and incestual dialogue. Like it's
They are.
Which is difficult.
And I hate to like be the one to bring it up, but you cannot watch the show without thinking that.
Without thinking, I was watching it thinking there's some Game of Thrones
Right, like-
action.
I'm starting to think that me and Lauren belong together. Like, well, you're brother and sister, so like you belong in each other's lives. Let's toe that line pretty.
Let's be a little more clear about
Yeah.
that, buddy. Let's be a little less direct.
It's like they're holding
Belong
hands. Hey,
together in a
room for
legal way.
Jesus.
when it comes to Lauren, is she feeling? Do you guys feel as if she's feeling as lost without Andy?
I think she's scared of Andy. I think after her seeing him have no remorse over something that still affects her every day, like she said, killing the 15 people, I don't think she's ready to be reunited with him. I think they have to be reunited, but I think right now she's okay with not being with him.
I think he's lost and she's broken.
I think he has no idea they killed
I
people.
like that. I like that. That's interesting.
I think he has no idea they killed people. I think they've prevented him from knowing. I mean, maybe not because he's been on League of Legends and stuff, so he has to know on some level, but like, is he just completely unremorseful of the fact that they killed people? Or is it that we just haven't seen that side of him yet? I don't think Lauren's as dependent on Andy as he is on her.
Definitely
She
not.
is the older sister. He was also the one bullied a lot, and she was the one who protected him. So he hasn't really had that many opportunities to be an independent person. And he's had to hide his powers without any guidance, and she hid her powers too, but she did it on her own. So anytime he's thrown into a situation without her, he doesn't know how to react, and this is the first time where he's like really in a situation where he has to make decisions without any input. I thought it was interesting when he got the phone, we learned that the mom has been sending them messages about, Kate, come on. Come on. Hey, I know you're on League of Legends. Let me just tell the villains that you're with exactly where we all are.
They're speaking in code, obviously.
Hey, here's the resistance. We're at this address. We're in this hospital clinic. Come visit us whenever. Like, she doesn't
Love
know.
you.
I don't know. That was an
interesting aspect of Andy's personality is also how easily Reva was able to manipulate him. Which
an aspect of his personality is that he's easily manipulated.
No, I will never call the love of my life so manipulative. However, she was very good at convincing him and able to
Yeah.
You know, right before
guide him.
Right after she decided that he was going to die.
Hold please. Now, in any type of passionate cause, or as some people like to call them, terrorists, the problem is the concept of conviction versus fear of eviction, and also they have a cause that they're trying to protect. Once again, I'm stating I don't condone their actions, but I understand them, and in this situation, from her aspect, where she's looking at it like she's the good guy, she's not the villain in her heart.
No, she never is.
She is the leader of a true cause that everyone should be on board with, and she cannot understand why they're not. She's afraid of losing her cause, and that's why even she says, "I understand he's extremely young. Do you think I like doing this?"
It's the same concept of people trying to escape the police with an animal, and the animal starts whining, and they have to suffocate the animal. It's the same case.
I don't know. I don't know how you got to that, but yes.
Well, I went through
can
3
understand
different iterations before I found one that worked that didn't mention a terrible historical moment.
I appreciate
So-
you. Thank
We're
you,
gonna
Steve.
kill the animals.
History, though.
And also changed the dog to something. So let's
I
just...
see. Okay,
Thank you,
thank
Tehran,
Stephen.
for calling me out.
I just don't
Let's
let you
move
go.
on to Lauren. So Lauren's obviously fed up with her parents basically lying about everything being okay. This is another loss of hope scene. The fact that her parents are trying to remain hopeful, but Lauren's not an idiot. And we see her looking at the Facebook page of people. I'm thinking like, oh, she's like trying to develop her cover to have friends and stuff. No, she's looking at daughters and people who have been destroyed and killed by what they did in Atlanta. Do you think this very unhealthy action by Lauren is going to drive her more towards wanting to take action and kind of taking some of Andy's considerations last season into account?
I don't think she would ever go to that direction. I feel like if anything, she would go into more of like a Thunderbird direction.
Well, we have to remember, Andy didn't go to the villain side because they're villains. Andy went to the villain side because they took action and actually did stuff. So this is more what I'm saying. Like, do you think Lauren will ever toe the line, skew the line that there is to protect people in the same way that Andy's skewing it to help mutants?
Personally, I don't think that's within Lauren's characteristic. At least it's not unfolded by season 1 and going into season 2. She's definitely the more considerate one. She's a lot more empathetic, as shown by her action with the Facebook thing. And while you said it was unhealthy, I actually think it shows the density and layers of her soul, that she understood her actions, the consequences, and looked further into the consequences than most people ever do. And that's something where even at sentencing, criminals are asked to do so, which is why they're supposed to apologize to the victim, is to understand their action and the consequences of their consequences. And it goes even deeper than that. So she is the moral compass in many ways. She's the one who said to her parents, "Stop lying to me." She's the one who in many ways is directing everyone towards good and has that positive thought that shows her understanding and awareness of what's wrong and what's not.
But how does she move on? Because As much as it is showing the moral compass as she's looking up all these victims and everything like that. But that's something that tears you apart more than it builds you up for a cause. So what is it that she needs to do? Because right now you're looking at Lauren, who's diving into her emotions like this, and she doesn't have a support. So who do you think Lauren is going to latch onto, or is she going to do her own vigilante justice saving people? That's what I'm kind of curious about. Like, because there's no one at the underground right now. Maybe Marcos, but he's too worried about baby Dawn. So, like, where does Lauren's character go from here to vent these emotions and try to make amends for what she believes she's the cause of?
Yeah, that's true, because Andy does have Lorna as a moral support.
And an emotional pillar.
Yeah. But, I mean, Lauren has, as we said, had the stronger moral code. I mean, I hope she's going to be the one to save Andy once again. She usually succeeds at that. I don't know if it'll be like by the end of this or not. I mean, I'm sure they're going to eventually team up again. That's a good question though. Who would she go to?
But she doesn't need to go to that's the concept is Lauren's the kind to look in a mirror and go, I wish there was somebody who did XYZ. Wait, I am somebody.
Yeah, I would be more satisfied if she were the independent one for sure.
So you think Lauren is the good guy Reva?
I believe that she becomes the good guy Reva as we see the season unfold. She becomes the initiative. She takes, because even the conversation she had with Reed was very direct. It was very upfront. It was very mature. And it's something that we should give her credit for, benefit of the doubt.
Would that not be sort of taking Thunderbird's place, though, since he is more of the...
He's the de facto leader.
Yeah.
Inspiring him, maybe.
Yeah.
Inspiring him to do more, to be more.
Thunderbird's not exactly being helpful either, though.
I was just about to say, maybe he is kind of fallen from grace, though. He's taken down a peg, so...
Lauren needs to rise to be that person to bring him back into the hopeful place.
That would actually be really cool.
Because she's, in her mind, killed people, but she still remains hopeful. So that'd be a really cool thing. I'd love to see Lauren and Esme. I think that would be a really powerful duo for just a back and forth. Just like if Esme was going to contact anyone on that team, I think it's Lauren.
I can definitely not.
Lauren would probably be the only one to listen to her anyway.
That's what I mean.
True.
I think that would be a powerful thing. And then info on Andy, info on the Hellfire Club, but also Esme can do something to fake deaths of people with Lauren if she has somebody to work with on the other side that she can hide from her sisters. So I think Lauren's storyline's progressing pretty smoothly in a pretty cool way. She's definitely a lot more three-dimensional than she was at the beginning of season 1, and even at the end of season 1, we're moving her more to an adult very quickly.
Yeah, everything's just sort of simmering for a lot of the characters these first 2 episodes.
But Andy's still very childish, and Lauren's very adult now.
Mature versus the immature Andy, who's also easily manipulated. Well, I don't feel that Lauren is. Lauren doesn't listen to the words of others. She's really finding and seeking for an inner peace.
Well, the powers also kind of play to who the people are. Reeva is all about control. Her power is about controlling people. Andy is very volatile. His power is explosions and validity. And then you have Lauren, who is more stable, and she's got the power of barriers. Reed, everything around him is falling apart, and now he's disintegrating things. Like, all the powers do have a reason. You look at John. John is very emotionally unstable. He's worrying about his own failures, but he's the strongest out of anyone. So, like, everyone has that weird dynamic of...
Oh, yeah, like Clarice and being kind of an escapist, too.
Exactly. Yeah, so... There you go.
Yeah.
So I think if we look at these characters from their powers, we can kind of project where we think they're going. So I really think we're right on this. We might be wrong, but I think that she's going to become the stability of this crew. And yeah, that's where we're heading. Let's talk about John, though. So one of my notes for the John and Blink scenes was that Steph Sabraw was swooning.
So hard. I'm
How can you
so
not?
obsessed with them. They have really great chemistry, and I feel
Obsessed with them?
Yeah.
Oh, I was just obsessed with him. I was swooning. I was the guy, his arm around her. I was like, oh, I'll be Little Spoon. And
He is so hot. We can't even deny this, you guys. And she's the perfect crutch for him right now because he has been the stabilizer of the group, and she now, I think she's the person that Lauren's going to go to. And they already are teaming up a little bit more, but they both have to develop their powers together, and I think their abilities, and I think that would be a really good duo.
Did you guys The moment we saw the first scene and we see John in like the wrestling ring, I instantly thought of the very first X-Men movie.
Oh yeah, Wolverine with the bar.
It was, and that's who they kind of based his character off of, is Wolverine and what was the Japanese hero character?
Kamen Rider?
Sunburst, I think.
Kamen Rider Sunburst.
Delicious Starburst.
That's the concept. Well, anyway, the concept was they kind of built it off that. Comment Rider. I think that's a different.
Kamen Rider, yeah, it's a totally different IP.
That's a different guy. Yeah,
completely different.
Yeah,
based
Marvel
on
fans,
it's
we
based on
apologize.
Murayama. So, what do we think is going to happen with John? We talked a little bit about with Lauren and how she might become the light in his darkness. He's in a dark place. We get a whole montage to really, really soft, sweet music of him punching a wall and witnessing his friend dying after he killed him, technically, witnessing all the bad stuff that's happened to him in the past.
Didn't show Sonya, which I was like, oh, rude.
Sonya?
It did.
It did. It did
Oh, it
show
did?
her.
Okay,
It
I
shows
must
a
have
little.
blinked.
Yeah, she
Okay.
was dead on the floor.
Yeah.
Oh, you're right. Now I remember she like falls.
Technically,
I blinked for a second.
It showed her corpse. It didn't show her.
It
So
showed
you're
the
right.
corpse. The corpse is.
I still think Dreamer can be alive in that smoke that came out of her mouth. I still think that's an open door.
Interesting. Well,
I
we'll
like
see.
what
With John, the montages were very telling of who he was. We got a lot more in depth with his personality. And I don't know if it was failures or just origin story to set up why he has this pain inside him that he holds so dearly and close to himself. And it shows where he came from, because all we've ever seen is like more of a leadership. This is the guy who knows everything. And now we see that he's not that person at all.
Well, I think you see that he is that person, but I think you see his reactions to things following through from his past. He did 2 tours, and then he got out of the military because of a failure, and now he got brought out by Evangeline, who detoxed him off painkillers, which is ironic. He's addicted to painkillers when he's like immune to so much.
Yeah.
And he was put in a position just like in the military. He's put in a leadership position, and then he fails
Again.
So now he's punching the walls again, back to that old place. So is he going to get back on drugs? Is that going to be a storyline? Are we going to see him wallowing in his misery until Lauren becomes the Evangeline in this story to bring him out of it? Are we going to see him rise to figure out that he's not going to be a failure and that other people are broken too? Because Evangeline is definitely Evangeline is in the place he was before, because she was in a powerful position where she was building the underground, and now she feels like it's a hopeless cause. So somebody needs to bring her out of it, which needs to be Xavier, the X-Men, or something, because we can't have John caring for this lady who just destroys him. But I'm interested to know what you all think is going on, where his arc is taking him, whether this montage is him getting all his emotions out and then he's going to be stronger than ever, or this is kind of like a downward momentum until somebody saves him.
I think it's a downward momentum. I do not think that this is. I think once again we bring back the Lauren. Lauren saves him, and then he in turn saves Evangeline and brings hope and gives her the speech she kind of gave him. And I think that's why we were led to that speech. Why the dichotomy, as you say, plays out a lot. I do think that. Well, I don't know how he gets back on drugs, because if they can't afford any more bottles,
Yeah.
$200 bottles of champagne, drugs are expensive. But I do think he finds himself in this confused, can't make a decision. Everyone else is led by something, whether it's by looking for their child or looking for their baby and loved one. He's not right now. Mm-hmm. And I think that Lauren becomes that catalyst, sending him to eventually inspire
Bring him
Evangeline back.
Yeah, I think
and
it's
brings him
John's
back.
turn to be saved.
Right?
This time.
100%. It's John. Now we see he needs to be the one who is saved.
Mm-hmm.
So-
and he's done bad things in his past. I mean, something I didn't think of, actually.
I want to bring up this line from Jace when Jace is talking to his friend at the bar, or when he talks to his wife, and he says, "If I don't let go of my past, I'm going to lose my future too." So I think they have past and future in the same sentence. So I'm like, days of future past. But then I'm like, oh wait, that never happened. And so now,
Not in this
no, wait, no,
universe.
that was actually the good one. So it's interesting that you can play this with any character in this show right now.
I was just about to say that, yeah.
Because Lauren's in the same boat. If she doesn't let go of the fact that she killed these 15 people, how is she going to save the next 15? If Reed doesn't let go of this fact that, like, his dad tried to get rid of his powers, he's going to have to accept that he has powers now, or he's going to self-destruct. He's been holding it back so much, but I feel like that's doing more harm than good. So he needs to let these powers out and learn to control them before it's too late.
Yes.
Andy also needs to let go of his past and start with what's now, because he's holding too much onto his relationship with his sister and his need for her to be involved with him. Any character you can kind of play this game with.
Kind of happening on a macrocosm as well, obviously, between mutants and humans. They're both driven by
7:15.
Yeah, 7:15.
7:15.
7:15 is a big date, but there's a difference between letting go of your past, as in forgetting your past, and forgiving your past. I don't think it's a great idea to let go of the past. The past is what leads you or drives you to the future. It's how you forgive yourself for the past events.
And others. Yeah.
And that's what they all need to do. I don't think that anyone needs to let it go completely. They just need to let it inspire them in the right direction of where they're supposed to, and guide them in the right direction.
Like how John was holding on to his past and on painkillers, but he still needs to remember that so he can prevent it from happening again.
Don't go back to that. Remember that happened and you were able to affect change. John needs to see that he has done much more good, and that occurrence was not his fault specifically, but his decisions led to it. Learn from your mistakes.
And that's really the main difference between the underground and the Hellfire.
Inner circle.
In the inner circle, excuse me. Because the underground is willing to forgive and forget, I think, for the most part, and the inner circle
is not.
I
want to cut to another line that we got from Marcos, where Marcos is talking about thinking about the baby, and he says, "Hope is a strong thing. Hope is what's been killing me." With this episode is very centered around hope and how Evangeline has lost hers. John's kind of lost his to a degree. Lauren's kind of lost hers, but the villains are switching sides a little bit with Esme and Lorna being aware and Andy and all that. So I'm interested to see what you guys think of this line in terms of, if hope is what's been killing him, what is, like, is hope that powerful of a thing if they're going to give it up? Like, do they need to get rid of all hope so they can actually see things for what they are and move forward? Or is it just one of those things where, I don't know, I've lost my train of thought a little bit. I'm sorry.
It's not Fight Club, Stephen. They don't just give everything up to build themselves up. Hope is this 4-letter word that's man's greatest strength and greatest weakness, and we see it play out in each one of them. Hope and hopelessness.
Yeah, I don't think that they can lose it. And that was actually a really deep line, and you could see it in his face and the emotions he's brought this season, that it is killing him, but it's probably the only thing keeping him alive too.
Guaranteed.
And it is the only thing keeping the underground alive, and they are still alive. They do have, if they have Esme and Reed now, they're in the fight. Yeah. But they need them too. Compared to the rest of, Reva, because she is scary.
You don't need hope.
Beautiful, scary, whatever. We use different adjectives at different times.
She is beautiful.
I love her.
Speaking of Reva, I want to know, do you guys think the story was true or false about her friend being stabbed?
Excellent. I love that you brought that up, because I could totally see Reva making that up in the moment to build a story to make Andy and connect it and manipulate Andy.
The acting was very good. Tears in her eyes, kind of, to a point. So I'm wondering.
Too good.
I'm wondering if it's a character building thing where this is what pushed her to be more anti-human, because it would make sense. It makes sense with her character either way. So I'm curious what your guys' thoughts are.
I mean, I instantly bought it. I mean, I like that theory, though. I didn't think of it, but it just reminded me of Jace, only on an opposite side.
I need to see her backstory.
Very good point.
I need to see her backstory. I'm really excited for that, because I think we will get it, and we'll know if it's a confirmation of that story or not.
Oh, as in a flashback?
Yeah, flashbacks.
For all we know, she stabbed her friend. With Reva, none of this stuff would surprise me. I have recently seen people who seem to be guilty of something cry to deflect. I've been seeing that a lot on...
Let's not get into it.
I was just referring to different people that have done that, and so when I watched that scene, my first instinct was she made it up. But it could be real.
I think the best lies are half truths. I think that her friend refused to kill humans, and that killed her. Oh. I think it'd be great to get a flashback where her friend was a powerful mutant and refused to kill the people who were going after them because she didn't want to kill humans. and it got her killed. I think that would be a more powerful thing than humans just going after her and killing her.
Well, now I feel naive. She totally got me.
Well, that's
We don't know. We don't know.
It's all good.
I think that's the point.
So let's move on. We talked about Reed a little bit already. I think Kate's being a little bit unfair to Reed, obviously, being like, I'm doing this for the family. Or he says, I'm doing this for the family. She's like, everything I do is for this family. I'm going to Philadelphia now. They have good cream cheese and possibly Andy.
Is that what she sounds like to you?
It's a pretty good impersonation.
She has a distinct voice.
She has a very distinct voice. I am going to operate, damn it.
I would hate to be in a relationship with you and then have you talk to me in that way, because that's when you know what people really think of you. Is
Right?
when they're mocking you. That's what they really think of you when you talk to them on a daily basis.
It's disappointing. I love this character. She has her moments that you're just blown away by. And then last episode and this episode, you're just like, really, God, dang it. It's really annoying. Because she's the character that listens most to her kids, but as soon as it's something to do with her husband, she's like, you're wrong. You're a Von Strucker, and I don't like you. Like, I don't know. It's just, listen to your husband. He tried to talk to you last episode, and no. Like, it's like she calls him out on having moments of pained silences, but then, like, won't ask him about it. It's just like...
But at the same time, can we understand something about her storyline of part of her might blame Reed for everything that's happening right now? Part of her, like, she had a life that she wasn't aware of, and then it crumbled very quickly. It's not like she's chasing after money. She's looking for her son, and she wants her son back. That's something a mother would feel. A mother would feel a lot more loyalty to their children than they do to their partner. That's something that should be understood.
I mean, that's fair. I do want to ask, what was it about? You go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think it's also in the writing and only being able to fit so much into an episode, obviously. I think...
and the voice doesn't help. Her voice doesn't help it coming off a little naggy. I can see how that's perceived.
What were you saying, Heather?
I think the creators just wanted us basically to know, okay, everybody is feeling a dissension, including Reed and Caitlin, and here's that. And also, she's off to go find Andy. Had to do it in like 30 seconds.
Don't think I don't know that you love Lauren more than Andy, Daddy's little girl. I was like, oh, you don't call out the favorites,
Yeah, it just sort of happened all at once,
right?
too.
You're like,
Just like,
dang,
boom.
ouch.
But the relationship between father and daughter is always a very special bond.
And the relationship between
mother
mama's
and son
boy, and
is
Andy
also
is a
special.
mama's boy. He was
Very much
bullied.
so.
Yeah, so you have a very good point. Yeah, so I don't think we're gonna come to a conclusion on this anytime soon.
Lauren's the oldest. I mean, there's just a lot that plays in this.
If you can love Reva, I can make fun of Kate, okay? Let's move on to the baby troubles. There is a storm of brewing. Marcos is drinking champagne, celebrating sadly to a montage of sad music, as we like to do on our weekends when we're not working. Shoots the glass into the sky like their first date. Really cool. Dug it. And Lorna sees it. And it's interesting because she's not worried at all that he's not out there. She's like, that's Daddy saying hi. She's not worried that he's like probably going through depression and grief that like he hasn't seen and worries that she's dead or something like that. So it was interesting that she's not really thinking it from his perspective at all. But then the baby's burning up. Immediately, I think the baby has weather powers.
Superpower. There's a mutant power. Clearly
Weather
involved.
powers.
Okay.
You think they're already on setting now?
What gave you the weather power?
Baby's burning up. There's a thunderstorm.
Oh, right. Yeah.
I think the baby's got weather powers. I think the baby's like super powerful.
I also think the baby's super powerful. It'd be interesting to see the baby's powers play out. I do think that, once again, the mother-baby relationship or mother-child relationship outplays the mother and mate relationship. And we need to be aware of that Polaris's thought is about Dawn.
True.
Everything is Dawn. Dawn is her primary. Sure, Daddy says hi, but we're going to...
That didn't piss you off, though? Like, her... I get what she's doing. Like, I really do. I think she and Kate share a similar feeling. Well, they'll go to any means necessary to make sure their child is safe and alive and in the best situation. But her being so nonchalant, like, Daddy says hi. Like, what? Like, he's
Not that you'll ever meet him, probably.
Actually,
He just bought a $200 bottle of champagne.
I understand. It sucks. It hurts, but the baby comes first. And I was actually thrown off by the fact that Turner's wife isn't as concerned as Turner is. Like, things like that affect me. I can understand a parent's desire to put their child first. That's a very common theme.
We're almost out of time. I don't want to cut you off,
course.
but we've already had that discussion,
Yeah.
so I want to move to the next thing. We can get into predictions, but I have a special segment first. Let's go ahead and bring up the superpower generator. Guys, we have the superpower generator, and we're going to go one by one, and I'm going to tell you, I'm going to say a situation to each of you, and it's all going to be the same situation. How would you rescue Lorna out from Hellfire Club using the power that this gives you? So, set it to 1 power, and let's go with Heather first. What would you do with the power of... Click it. What does it say? Jonathan. We can't see it.
The suspense is killing
It's right
me.
there above the red button. There you go. How would you
Animal
rescue
control.
Lauren in 30 seconds or less, because we're out of time?
I would save Lorna by using animal control, releasing all of the animals from a nearby zoo because it's a big city. There's got to be animals
Exactly.
nearby, right? Oh, and also sewer rats.
Sewer
Nobody
rats
suspects
would
sewer
save
rats.
Lorna.
Yeah. They'll
Okay.
like creep in through the crevices. It'll be great. It'll be fine.
I'm good. I'm good with it. Tehran, let's see. What do you get?
Okay, so I'm sure it's near a dog park.
You don't get animal control. You
Yeah.
get a superpower.
Don't
What's
steal
my power?
Ice manipulation.
Ice manipulation.
You're Frozone. It would give you Frozone.
Frozo.
Where is my
Okay,
super
we'll have a
suit?
conversation about that. I'm more like Iceman, and Iceman is super powerful, one of the most powerful mutants in the Marvel universe. And I would use this power to create an ice slide and break her out. And
Like
slide her.
Frozone?
but really powerfully, okay? Really powerfully.
He was cold as ice. What is Steph Sabraw's superpower to save Lorna?
Earth manipulation.
Oh, okay. I would just create like every natural disaster at once and then extract her from the
You
building.
would kill Lorna. Shaken baby syndrome happening now. Thank you,
Shoot.
Steph.
Excellent.
Earthquakes are not good for saving
Sounds
babies.
like my ice slide is a wonderful idea.
I think you
Slide
would.
to safety.
And
Poor
what would I
animals.
have?
Yes, let's
You would
let
have
just
healing
Stevens.
factor.
Okay, I would just die over and over again, throwing a pile of corpses at the building until suddenly I might win. But I would do it all in Nicolas Cage's voice because that's a
Oh
power I
my-
already have. Because I'm gonna take your face and put it on my face. Let's get into predictions for the last 60 seconds of the show. I just want to know,
Your AfterBuzz.
what do they need to do to help the baby? Why is the baby sick?
The baby is sick because too much metal in his bloodstream.
There you go.
I don't think baby's sick. Mutant powers, clearly. And I'm going to go with heat blasts.
There you go, Steph Sabraw.
I think the powers are onsetting early, and I think she needs her daddy.
There you go. I think I agree with Steph. I think she's got a combination of powers between heat manipulation and electromagnetics, which is going to make the baby kind of like super powered, kind of be able to do really cool stuff.
What happened to storm powers?
What if it's...
I mean, I think it'd be Storm. Storm would make sense with that, though. If you can manipulate heat and electromagnetism, you can cause storms to happen. It's a more scientific take on Storm, but I'd hate to see a white Storm in this show. So I'd like to not go with Storm on this. Maybe
Be
just
like half
Weatherman.
Latino.
I can
The
allow
Weatherman.
it. They have a very diverse cast. So we
Yeah,
can allow it.
Dawn is the weather girl.
Black Magic 99 in the chat said baby's sick of Caitlin's crap.
And that's our show. Where can we find you guys on social media?
Hey, on Instagram, you can find me at heather.wake.
All across the board at I am Tehran, IAMTEHRAN, the bathrobe heartthrob.
You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Steph Sabraw.
And you can find me at Stephen Lemieux, STPHENLEMIUX. We also started some brand new channels here on AfterBuzz TV. We got all of of them that you could ever need. So go ahead and support us by subscribing to all those. You can find shows for sci-fi, reality competition, and now gaming. Check it out. I'm doing Shadow of the Tomb Raider right now. Thank you so much for watching. We'll be back for next episode, The Gifted Season 2, Episode 3, the after show live Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. See you there. I won't be in a bathrobe.
Our founder, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.